Hi, Reka. So happy to have you here. Reka is the founder of Guild, and she just, was one of the guests in a panel. And Reka, I just want to know first thing about from you is that tell me a little bit about your past. Like right now you're in Guild and doing amazing stuff. But what led you to, in getting into Web3?
I was volunteering in Sweden when I was a late teenager in 2016, and the host that I was staying with introduced me to crypto, and I stayed with him for a month, so we had quite some time to dig into it and make me actually see the value. And then afterwards, I was in crypto after that, like I got hooked in, but I thought it's only DeFi, and I didn't know about the social part until early 2020 when my co-founder Robert, or Raz as most we know him, it's like reconnected because we knew each other since high school. Wow. From the same small Hungarian town.
Yeah.
And he was the only other Hungarian that I knew that's into crypto. And he kept posting about Bitcoin, Ethereum on LinkedIn, and I was in my LinkedIn era. So I kept liking his posts, and then we eventually reconnected and started working together, and then he made me realize the social part of crypto is already evolving. So I took a very deep dive into FWB, C12, Forefront, all the big players that were very, very lively at that time. And I'm really fond of social networks in general. I have a background in social media, and I know social engineering sounds bad and has a connotation, but I like the fact of putting people together based on interest and what they like to do and when they're active and kind of like making connections happen, I love doing. And so I really found all of that in the social crypto and web3.
That's amazing. I think it's so interesting the way you met your co-founder. Like you already knew each other, and then you saw that he's also interested in the space. And I think what's important is that you connected and you reached out. You guys connected. So I think that's amazing. So Reka, just I want to know from you as a woman. There are not a lot of women in crypto, right? So how hard it has been, because this is a very inclusive space, but still, were there any challenges that you had faced, or how whatever scenarios it is, like if you would give some examples and how you navigated through them?
I think, well, there's two sides, and I think there's more and more women in crypto, and it's much a safer space than it's been like 3 years ago even, thanks to a lot of the movements that have been going on and positive discrimination that has been going on. And I feel like the positive is I have gotten opportunities, think like speaker slots or hosting or being on a panel because I'm a woman. Initially, like early on, a year ago, 2 years ago, that was still very going on. And I don't think that's bad. Like, let's go have women on panels, especially, because it's always like, it doesn't matter what your gender is in the conversation, but if, the representation in the whole process matters. So, yeah. And also, like, it feels good to see other women. You relate to people that are similar to you in a sense. So I just really love that I get to represent. Obviously, I'm still just a niche demographic, but I get to represent and give relation. Yeah, like giving representation and like a connection point to other women in the space. So that's really great. The negative is obviously it's an extremely male-dominated space. So you do have to speak up for yourself. You have to be very confident. Yeah. Have to make sure that you sit at the table where you want to sit, which I think is a challenge. Obviously, we have or more hurdles to go through, especially like personally, like on our personal journeys. But I think you can do anything that any other person could do, any other demographic. It's just you really have to know what you want and go for it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. And what do you suggest? Like, how can we onboard more women in crypto?
I don't think that's like, I've seen many efforts, and I don't think that's the way we should look at it. I think it's just like, clarification. Yeah, I don't think that's like the way to do it. Is like, let's onboard women, because if they don't want to be here, I don't think it has a good purpose of onboarding. I do think transparency and less gatekeeping and more open about what's going on, about the payments, about roles that are available in the space, and how everything's working. Also, one active thing that we could do, and it's not just for women, it's like making the space more inclusive in general, is changing language a little bit. It's very, very technical. It's like a language for most people.
Yes.
So not just for women, but like in general, making a inclusive language is wonderful. And I think I see a change, like we use a little bit less the fintechy cryptography terms, but if you're getting in the weeds, it's still very, very focused on that. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the language sometimes it gets too technical. It feels scary. Like it feels that, oh my God, I don't know so many things. So I need to catch up. So I think that would be awesome if, and I see a lot of people taking initiatives, just as, it can be as simple as just like starting a YouTube channel and having like a series of videos which just like explain something in a simple language, right? So yeah, that's amazing. So I think Reka, one of the most important things that I've believed, and I have not yet started doing that, but I feel it's super important, is like building a personal brand, right? It can be through anything, be it creating content or I don't know, like different ways, right? But it's so important because, that's it, that is what eventually leads to like your networks and next opportunities, right? So what do you suggest? Like, because I see that you've been creating a lot of content recently and I love your content. Oh my God, so cinematic and it's just been so good. It feels like, I want to watch these videos. So I love those. So what do you suggest? Like, how did you start this and what made you, actually start creating content and what are your plans? And of course, like I've asked too many questions in one question, but eventually, what is the goal? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
First part was importance of personal brands.
Yes.
Personal brands, I think, I have two opinions about it. It's absolutely essential that you are out there, even if you're anonymous or not, have something that people can think about when they hear your name or read your name somewhere. And that comes with creating. And it doesn't have to be video. It could be just a lot of posts somewhere or writing or anything, but you have to consistently be present. And I also hate the idea of niching down. I could never. I have a history of social media, and a big advice that you always get is pick a niche. I hate that. If your personal brand is yourself, like you are.
I love that.
It's everything that you like. And I think a great way to get started is find something you're extremely passionate about that you can talk about for hours, even without being prepared. And you could talk about it even when you're waking up in your sleep, and something that keeps you up at night, but in a good way. And just start putting yourself out there in that topic.
Yeah.
I think that's the core part of the personal brand. All of the other things are great that you can read online, how to start a personal brand. But I feel like, to me at least, they feel too structured. And I like a lot of chaos in my life, or change and growth and space for growing.
Cool.
So, I would advise just like following your passion and be open about it and share, because people will relate and other people are on the same journey, and they will only find you when you can only connect if you're out there. And
love that. And how did you start your content journey? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, I grew up in the age of social media. I wasn't hard, and then I went deep into. I always want to figure out the analytics, or like the algorithm side of a social media platform. And so I've been a creator traditionally for a while. TikTok, social, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, I knew a lot of them. So I've done all of those, and that gave me like knowledge about like just creation in general. But right now in crypto, I just felt like there's this like whimsical, lighthearted, relatable, open, transparent communication, and especially in like visual content that's missing. And I felt like, great, I want to see that. So why don't I just create it? And I always felt like I'm the type of person, I just love to share anything or anything. Other times I feel like, why am I even online? Like, I want to be private. Like, why do you know things about me? It's somewhere, it's like in between.
Yeah.
But I found a buddy, my great fan LDF. She's on the same journey.
Yes, I saw.
Same thing. So
that's amazing. And sorry for interrupting, but I would love for you to also talk about this collaboration. Like, how did this happen?
So she and I, we like kind of circled around each other in the space for a heavy year, more than almost 2 years. And we're massive amounts of groups together, and we just kind of bumped each other everywhere. And a lot of our shared friends kept suggesting like, oh, you guys should meet, like you would love each other. And we're like, great. And we did have a call scheduled at some point last year in May, and then I think she canceled and we never had that call. But then we ended up connecting online, and we met in person in Berlin for the first time last year, and then she came to Lisbon too, so we met twice. And we just realized we're on the same path, different opinions, but very, very similar value set and direction where we're going. So why not collaborate? And she was also missing the same kind of things in the space that I just told you about. And so we just started creating together. And it's also great to have an accountability partner in everything that you do. That's amazing. It was a perfect match. And so we just started the chaos experiment, which at first we thought we would just collaborate and create stuff, but it ended up being more of a movement of inspiring some other online friends to put themselves out there and create.
Yeah,
So that's great.
I love that. And I just want to say that you have definitely inspired me. And kudos to you for amazing content. That's the way I discovered you, to be honest. And yes, it was, I know, yes. And like, wow. And yeah, I hope that I put more content out there. And I really hope that more and more people see your content and they are equally inspired. So kudos. Thank you so much for that. Great. Coming to DAOs, Reka, I just want to know, what is your unpopular opinion about DAOs?
Very few exist that are true DAOs.
Yeah.
I think we talk about DAOs, or when we mention DAOs, we think more about like tokenized communities or internet communities. But in a way,
That's so sorry to interrupt. Yeah, just a quick heads up. The space I do currently still have reserved for the public. I've got a golf reservation coming in.
you get really excited.
Yes, just 5 minutes, you're wrapping it up.
He's a little bit late. Fortunately, I do have to get him in somewhere. But if you guys do want to wrap up quick.
Yes. We're just wrapping it up. 5 minutes. Thank you. Yeah.
So
Tokenized communities.
yeah, and a lot of the DAOs that we talk about, very few of them are like the original sense of what a DAO's definition is. And that's what I mean. The rest, I think, is tokenized communities or internet communities in general. And I'm not really hung up on the nomenclature because it doesn't matter, but calling them internet communities, I think, is more inclusive. If people don't know what a DAO is, that's my unpopular opinion that very, very few, I could name very few DAOs that are still alive and are actually doing what the original saying what a DAO is doing should be doing forever.
I would love that. Great. So, some fun questions, Reka, before we wrap this up. If I had to browse see your browser history for last 30 days, what is the most searched content?
Denver stuff. I'm preparing just for everything in Denver. Also, like, is water drinkable in Denver, or do I have to wear so? I just search for everything.
Yeah.
So, like,
I love that.
so very much preparing for the travels.
Yeah. For what's the most interesting thing that you're looking forward to in Denver?
Ooh. My Friday's insane, and I'm looking forward to learn all about that. Running around a lot, but as in like a conference or panel, I'm really looking forward to. I give a little workshop at Shelling Point about
That's so awesome.
like how to create communities that are sustainable for creators. So that's gonna be.
I love that. I'm gonna attend that for sure. We are actually doing a green pill meetup with Kevin only at Shelling Point. So yes, we'll meet there. Last question. Who's your closest friend in Web3 that you've still not met in person?
I've had so many. I'm very lucky that I get to travel sometimes.
Yeah.
So I met a lot. Cool. I have video calls with them.
Okay.
Does that count?
No, I being in person, yeah. And
Well, it's hard because I met I have met Logan, maybe. He's wonderful. He's extremely Gen Z and just vibes so much on Twitter. I had a video call with him at some point, but we have never met in person because he's, I think, too young to travel. He's going to I know he's in the end.
yeah, love that. Great. Thank you so much, Reka. Thank you. And I would love to have another conversation which is like longer and we get into a lot of things. But for now, it's great.